Hello students, this is my third and final recording of the essay by Francis Bacon, which is titled Of Parents and Children. This is where we had finished in the last video, and we are going to begin with the next paragraph where the author is talking about, as I had mentioned earlier also at the end of the previous video, that the author is talking about how parents and caregivers, teachers, guides, supervisors should not in any way differentiate between children. So I am reading first. The author says the difference in affection of parents towards their several children is many times unequal. Here he is talking of families which have multiple more children, more than one or two, and he says that in such families where there are many children, the parents should not in any way display a partiality in their affection or display of love towards their children, which has been actually seen in many households, and it seems as if the author himself was witness to such a partiality or such a differential behavior. And he says that sometimes parents behave unequally, and he says and sometimes unworthy, especially in the mother. And he says when such a behavior is seen in the mother, it is indeed unworthy, and the mother should take care, especially she should especially be careful of not displaying inequality when she is dealing with her children. And he says, he has given a quotation over here. He says, Solomon saith, a wise son rejoiceth the father, but an ungracious son shames the mother. So he says, whenever a son does well, whenever a son is successful in life, or he has done something worthy or worthwhile, then it is the father who is praised for raising. A father is praised for raising a worthy son. So the behavior or the success of the son is mostly amounted to the father. But he does not fail to mention that whenever the son proves to be ungracious, or whenever the son proves to be unworthy, you can say a failure also, then it is the mother who is blamed for it. It is the mother who on whom the accountability for the failure of the son falls on. So a wise son rejoiceth the father, but an ungracious son shames the mother. So basically what he wants to say is that the mother should be very careful when she is raising her children, and a partiality on her part can really affect the behavior of the children. And then he says, a man shall see where there is a house full of children. Of course, he is talking of families who have multiple children. He says one or two of the eldest are respected, the youngest made wantons. Here what he means by saying that the youngest children are wantons, which means they are pampered, and they are rather given a loose string, they are let loose, and the behavior of the youngest children actually shows that they have been too much loved and too pampered, while the eldest have gained the respect of their parents. But then what happens to those families who have middle children also? So he says, but in the midst. So what does he mean when he says in the midst? He means the middle children who are not the eldest and who are not the youngest of the family. What is the behavior that is shown by the parent to this kind of child? So he says, but in the midst some that are as it were forgotten. So It is an observation which Bacon has made that in families who have many children, the eldest gain the respect of their parents, the youngest they gain the love of their parents, rather too much of love. But it is those who are in the middle who are basically forgotten. And he says, who many times nevertheless prove the best. But this is also the observation that the author has made, that it is mostly, many times means it is mostly that these middle children who are ignored by their parents, they prove to be the worthiest, or as he has written, the best. The illiberality of parents in allowance. Now he has just stopped one of his points here and he has immediately begun with the next point. So in the first point he was referring to the equal behavior that parents must show, especially the mother. In the second point he is talking of allowance. Now parents are responsible for giving some allowance to their children, and in the sense that they must give some kind of money, pocket money to their children. But then should it be a good amount, or they should not give any money at all? This is a good point which the author has basically picked up. So he says, he uses the term illiberality, which means to be miserly with your children, to not give proper money or allowance or pocket money to the children. What is the author's view? He says that the illiberality of parents in allowance towards their children is an harmful error. So please remember, when it is asked what is Bacon's view on pocket money or Bacon's view on the giving of money to their children, he believes that parents should give money. Parents should not be miser at all. They should give money to their children. And what is the reason? He says, because if you show miser behavior, if you don't give money, then it makes them base. What is the meaning of the word base here? It is better explained when in the further lines he says, acquaints them with shifts. So what he means to say, that they become rather incorrigible characters, they become mean characters, they seek bad company. Why? Because they don't have money in their pockets, and then they usually of course children have their needs, but if they are not given money by their parents, what do? They are usually come in contact with the bad company, other mean characters, bad characters, who usually take them down the wrong path. So he says it acquaints them with shifts. Shifts are those corrupt people, makes them sort with mean company. So they start engaging themselves with those mean characters, evil characters, and makes them surfeit more when they come to plenty. So whenever in life this kind of behavior in their childhood, when they have not seen good money coming from their parents, and their parents prove to be miserly, but the children, in order to fulfill their needs, they just hang around with wrong kind of people, they earn wrong habits, they learn mean habits. What happens? Even when they grow up and they get money, they earn money, they get plenty of money, still their character is one which is already spoilt when as a child. So they will never feel the satisfaction, they become greedy and they become corrupt. And even though money comes to them when they grow up, satisfaction never comes to them. So it is better that parents at least give good pocket money to their children. They should not go for money, they should not go and look for mean company for the sake of money. And he says, and therefore the proof is best. What is the best combination? When men keep their authority towards their children but not their purse. So you should, what you should do, you should definitely show, okay, your authority. You should strike a balance between discipline and a good pocket money. So don't keep your purse from your children, okay. This is the best combination. Men, now I think here he has finished with his point of allowance, and he moves on with the next point, where he says men have a foolish manner, both parents and schoolmasters and servants. Now please remember, he is not just talking of parents, he is talking of the teacher and the caregiver also. So here the servant means it is a paid help who cares for the child. So sometimes it is seen by, this kind of behavior is seen by parents, school teachers and the caregivers in the house. What is this behavior? And he calls it a foolish behavior. What is it? In creating and breeding an emulation between brothers. Emulation means, what do mostly parents do, especially in case of brothers? They make comparisons, okay. And what happens when the children are young and they don't understand this? At least till then it is fine, but later on slowly children start to understand that, see, my parent or my school teacher or even my servant is comparing me with my brother or my sister or my sibling. So even you might have witnessed some time or the other in your house, that in your family, that somebody compares you to some elder brother or some elder cousin, and this is a behavior which is not welcome. It is not acceptable. Children don't like it. They don't like comparisons, and this is what even Bacon has noticed, and he's warning. He's actually giving out a warning that never do that. It is a foolish thing to do, to compare your children. And he says, especially brothers, which many times sorteth to discord when they are men. When they are men means when they grow up to be adults, it leads to their difference in opinion. It becomes a sort of an enmity between brothers. So why behave in a way that your own children become enemies to each other? There is such a competition between them that they behave like enemies, and even when they grow up, they don't like each other. There comes to a time when basically there is no love between the children, and they consider each other as sort of enemies. And he uses the word discord, and he says this ultimately disturbs the whole families. He says the Italians make little difference between children and nephews or near kinsfolk. So now he's using example from Italian families. So Italian families are they are usually joint families. They are not nuclear families. They live together, brothers and their children and their wives and grandchildren all living together. So basically he's using that example of Italian families. He says that they never differentiate, which is something he advocates, that even we should not do that. They do not differentiate between children and nephews and near kinsfolk. So whatever cousins are there in the families, so there is no difference between your own children and the children of your brothers and sisters and so forth. But so they be of the lump, they should be of the same family. That is the only thing which matters. It does not matter if they are your own children. So this is something which Bacon really likes and he recommends. And to say truth, in nature it is most alike manner. He says even nature does that. If you have seen sometimes in how does nature display this? In facial features, in physical features, sometimes in voice, in hair, maybe in height and personality. It is seen so many times that a child resembles an uncle or a girl would resemble an aunt. So what does it mean? It means that even nature does not differentiate between own children and the children of sisters and brothers, because you are actually one family, one big joint family. So he says, and to say the truth, nature, it is a much alike matter, in so much that we see a nephew sometimes resembleth an uncle or a kinsman more than his own parent. So he says even nature does that sometimes a child resembles his uncle more than his own parent, as the blood happens, because it is the same blood, it is the same blood running in his veins as in his uncle or his or maybe the girl's aunt, or maybe sister, that way. So he says this is a proof that nature is asking you, nature is recommending that there should be no difference between siblings, no difference of treatment between cousins. All children should be treated the same. And now he just leaves this point over here, and he comes to the new point, which is how should vocation be chosen. Vocation means career, job, education, further education, higher education. What kind of path should a child choose for himself? Or is it the parent who should choose the vocation for the child? This question is something which is being addressed by Bacon right now, and he says, let parents choose betimes the vocations and courses they mean their children to should take, for then they are most flexible, and let them not too much apply themselves to the disposition of their children, as thinking they will take best that which they have most mind to. And here please remember, Bacon is advocating that parents should choose the career path for their children. We should not entirely leave it to children, which is becoming the trend these days, that parents say that okay, do whatever you want to do. So Bacon is basically saying, let parents choose betimes the vocations and courses they mean their children should take, for then they are most flexible. He says because children are very flexible, and let them not too much apply themselves to the disposition of their children, as thinking they will take best what they have most mind to. He says no, you should consider your child to be flexible. He is adaptable at this stage. He can easily form a habit, because the child is young right now. So if parents take a good decision, never think that the child will take it according to his own interest, because sometimes they don't really know what is good for them. So Bacon recommends that parents should choose for their children. It is true that if the affection or aptness of the children be extraordinary, but he says, now this is an exception. He says, but if your child is extraordinary, which means he might be some kind of genius, he might be some kind of scholar, he might have some kind of craft or skill which is extraordinary, then you can take an exception, which means then you can actually choose according to your child's wish, because the child may be extraordinary in something. Okay, so he says then it is good not to cross it. Then don't ignore that child's genius, don't ignore that child's skill. Then whatever option you are choosing, choose according to your child's extraordinary genius. But Otherwise, choose whatever you think is best for him, not according to his interest, because children are very flexible, adaptable. Whatever, ultimately they will follow the path and they will be able to do what you have chosen for them. Okay, but generally he says the percept is good. Now he has taken a quotation from Latin. This is a Latin quotation and I have written this in the translation in English over here, which actually fits very well with this point that he has used, that we should choose for our children. He says, choose the best. Custom will make it pleasant and easy. Custom means habit. So he says, remember, whenever you are choosing the career path of your child, choose the best for him. Don't just think if right now the child wants to do it or not. Choose the best. Ultimately, it will become a habit for the child, and then once it becomes a habit, it will become very easy for him and it will become pleasant also. He will enjoy doing it. So don't worry if the child does not want to do it right now. He will ultimately start liking it. And this is the point where he finishes, and in the end he has just kept one line, which is another point, but he has just put it in one line. So we are going to read it and let us try to understand what he wants to say with the last line of the essay, and then we will be over with it. He says, younger brothers are commonly fortunate, but seldom or never where the elder are disinherited. So please remember that he has given us a situation where the elder child is disinherited from the house or from the property or from the family. Basically, why would an elder child be disinherited? When the child proves to be worthless, okay, or there is some corruption or some meanness or something evil about that child, so that child is ultimately disinherited from the family and the property. So he says, in that case, where would the property go to? The property would go to the younger child. If I ask you the question, what would you call this younger child? Would you call this child fortunate or unfortunate? Of course, if you look at it from the terms of monetary benefit, that yes, this child who was not going to get the property, suddenly he has got the property because the elder child is disinherited. So you would say that yes, he is rather fortunate. But Bacon says no, he is not fortunate. Don't consider such a child fortunate. Why? Because he has suddenly got so much money at such a young age. So this can actually, a sudden gain of wealth at a young age can lead to spoiling of the temperament, and ultimately it might prove to be unfortunate. So in a normal household, in a happy household, in a household where the hierarchy is being followed, it is good that the elder child turns out to be good. He inherits the house, the property, the name of the family, and in that case the younger child would also follow, and in this way he will also come to a good life. So with the last comment here, Bacon has finished his essay, and I hope you have enjoyed his point and his observations. As in the other essays, please remember that Bacon has given a very, very precise and very, very sequential comment on the topic. He has not elaborated, but he has put it down very, very logically and scientifically.